Alright guys, today what I'm going to work on is a Ford tractor. I'm at my buddy's farm, and he's got a Ford 8N, and we're going to go ahead and convert it to 12 volt. Let me show you what it looks like. There it is. It's a pretty little tractor. He's used it, but it lost spark, and I looked at everything, and the guy before him converted it to 12 volt, but did a pretty, I wouldn't say a horrible job because it ran, but it wasn't the proper way. He's got 2 ignition coils on this thing. I had already converted the starter over, so that's a 12 volt starter, but I got to convert it. I bought a conversion kit. It's got a new alternator, it's got a new everything. I bought a new distributor, a new ignition coil, because he like screwed these into it. It wasn't hooked up right, so I'm gonna get on this. First thing I'm gonna do, I believe, is install that distributor. I already got it taken off. It's the front distributor. Some of them have the side distributors. This one has the front, and here's the old one. So I got a new one. I'm gonna go ahead and install that, and I'll show you what that looks like. Here's the new distributor. Here's the new ignition coil. I'm gonna put those together right now, because this ignition coil has to touch this spring right here. Has to touch a contact down in there, and it's easier to do it outside than it is to do it while it's all in that cramped space. So I'm gonna get this set up, ready to go. Alright, there it is. I got it all lined up perfect. Put the bail on, it's ready to go. If you notice, this one here, this ignition coil, don't have all these screwed into it. I don't know why that guy did that, but that's not how it goes. It's supposed to be a wire that goes to the top, and he didn't have a wire that went to the top and went all the way down. I think he drilled a hole there, which is not on this, and he went through, connected the wire right here. It's not how that's supposed to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the front. So it's hard to get everything perfectly lined up with the gasket with this alternator on there. So I'm gonna take the alternator off. I got new brackets and a new alternator. This alternator came off like a Chevy truck, which works, but he made his own brackets, which also works. But we got some professional quality brackets that'll work better. Right now this belt's in the way, so I can't really get everything to line up, the bolts to line up, until I get this off. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off. Alright, there we go. I got the alternator off. Freed up some room back there. I gotta get this gasket to line up, and I gotta put these bolts in. So I'm gonna do that next, and then I'll have the distributor in there. Alright guys, so I got the distributor in with the new coil on top. It wasn't fun, but I got her in there. Lining the gasket up that goes in between here was not fun to do, but I got the alternator off that goes right here. I also took off the rest of the wiring, and then I took off this ignition coil. This is a 12 volt ignition coil, I believe, and it's not even supposed to go on this tractor. So you're supposed to put in resistors. This one you can use without resistors, but that other one you need resistors. So if you look down in here, this is the resistor they use. This one's toast. I got a brand new one to put in there, and I got a brand new gauge to put in here, so he can tell that his tractor's charging when he's running it. Because one of the problems he has with this is the tractor don't charge, and then the last problem he had with it is there was no spark. And then I tore into the system and seen that the guy kind of rigged it up. So what we're gonna do now is do it the right way. I think I'm gonna put the alternator on now. Well, I got the top bracket on for the alternator here. It reuses these 2 head bolts, and I got this bottom bracket on. I got to tighten this one down. It's still loose. This bolt wouldn't come out by itself, so it took the whole stud out, and coolant just starts spraying out of there like crazy. I don't like that, but there's nothing I could do about it. I mean, it wouldn't come off. So I got it back on there. Coolant's everywhere, but it's on there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get this alternator on there. Alright guys, so I got the alternator on there. I put the belt on, but I left it loose. So I can get back there to that coil. Because you see on top, there's a little stud. I gotta put a wire on there. Got my wiring harness busted out. It's a brand new wiring harness. So what I'm gonna do is install this wiring harness. I'm gonna start from the front and work back. So I'll install the alternator wire and the ignition coil wire, which is these two right here. So let me install this real quick and I'll show you what to do, what's next. Alright, so I connected the wire here, and I don't know if I can get it, there it is. Look right here where my finger's touching. There's a little stud. I hooked this brown wire up to it. I got it routed so the fan don't catch it, and it goes around. Now according to this diagram, this alternator wire is supposed to go to the ammeter, which I got a new one I'm gonna install. So I'm gonna install that, and then I'm gonna install that wire. Well, the ammeter won't fit in there, so I have to come back out with a little die grinder and open that hole up a little bit so it slides on in there. Alright, well, I got it all wired up. These instructions were not very helpful. I had to do a lot of YouTubing and use this experience. The other problem I have is this right here won't fit in there perfectly, the ammeter, to tell you if it's charging. It's a little loose, a little tight. The resistor, I got the new one. The old one is still in there, and those little flathead screws are hard to get out, so I got to get some PB Blaster, and I'm gonna blast the crap out of it. These instructions said to wire in this resistor. YouTube said you don't need to. I did it because we got it. So next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna tighten this up so it's nice and tight, and I'm gonna zip tie those wires there so they're not gonna rub on anything. I'll zip tie some stuff. I gotta go down to AutoZone, get a spade connector. I don't have one here, I just wired it together, but I'm gonna put the battery in. Maybe I'll see if it'll turn over. Alright, so I had to tighten down the alternator, and right there, that cotter pin right here was awfully close to the belt, so I switched it around and bent the tabs so there's clearance there. There's very little clearance there, so hopefully that don't cause any issues, but we'll have to find out. I think I'm gonna install the battery and see how good of a job I did. Well, I put the battery in and I turned the key on, and I'm getting nothing. So I gotta figure out what I did wrong here. Well, I tested the battery with my Fluke, and I only got 2 volts on that battery. It needs more than that. It needs 12. So I'm gonna go get my jump pack and jump it. Alright, I got my jump pack on here. It's never done that before. Huh. Funny. It's never done that before. Well, I'm testing the battery here, and all it's getting is 2.5 volts, and I can't get the jumper pack to even jump it, so I think it needs a new battery. Well, it's definitely the battery. My jump pack won't jump it, and I don't have a charger here, so I'm jumping it off with my van, and it's spinning over very slowly though. It's not spinning over very good. and then it stops. So I'm gonna let it charge up a little bit using the van. I'm gonna try to get this thing running before I get out of here. Well guys, this is the next day and I'm back out here at my buddy's farm working on the tractor. Still no spark, but well actually there's spark now, I'm sorry. There wasn't spark when I showed up. My buddy Tim, he turned the fuel on and I think that's what got a spark. Let me know in the comments if the fuel has to be on for you to get spark on this thing. I don't see how that's even possible, but that's how it looks. We got it all back together except for the alternator. I still got that off because I'm still playing with it. I'm jumping it off the car right now and I'm trying to fire it up. The battery's a little dead, even though I charged it overnight. Still a little dead, so I'm gonna keep it charging and then we'll go ahead and try to fire her up here in a minute. Well, I'm still at it. Still no spark. Like it comes and goes, I guess. This spark plug here, if you look at the gap, it looks like it might be a little too tight there. This thing would ever focus. I'm gonna open the gap up a little bit, just a smidge, but that's definitely not the problem. Something else is going on. I can't quite figure it out. The battery keeps dying on me, so I can't, it's slow going, you know? But I'm gonna keep at it. We're gonna try to get this thing fired up. Alright, so I gapped all the plugs. I put them back in there. I had spark when I put them back in, so I don't know. Let's hope it fires up. Make sure the key's on, it's on. Uh-oh. Well, she was firing a little bit. Wait that battery charge up a little more and see what it does. I know if I fully choke it, it'll flood her out. So, shut the key off. I'm gonna let her charge a little bit. See if I can get something else done. So I got them all out again. And what will happen is I'll get spark on this plug and this plug. But I don't see any spark on number 4 or number 1. Show you what I mean. Let me make sure it's keys on. Keys on. Spark. There's number 3. Here's number 2. Spark. Ooh, number 1 did spark. Number 1 sparks very little. And here's number 4. Let me get a better angle here. There we go. Nice in the shade, you'll see it. Spark did. It sparks sometimes. I'm gonna switch the plugs up and see if they're any difference. Alright, now I switched the plugs up. These 2 plugs were the plugs that got little to no spark. This plug and this plug got really good spark. So I switched them up to see if it's still getting good spark on these plugs and if these 2 get any better. So we'll start with this one here got better for sure. This one. This one got better. I think it's bad plugs. I'm gonna go get some plugs from the parts store. Alright, back from the parts store. Got some NGK spark plugs. What I'm gonna do, these plugs, these Autolite, they don't seem bad. I mean, they look good. The gaps look good. Everything looks good. A little dirty, but I don't know. We're gonna try it out. I'm gonna put these NGKs in and hopefully it fires right up. Let me put the van back on the charge of the battery here. I gotta put those cables on the battery so I can run the tractor. So let me do that, then we'll get on it. Alright, there we go. All 4 new spark plugs. I don't know if this is gonna work. Pray to God, Lord Jesus, help us make this tractor run today. And let's see. There it goes. There it goes. There we go. What a relief. I got to tighten the belt. Woo. I'm going to go ahead and tighten that belt and then we'll start it again. Alright, I just tightened the belt. I got it on the charge. So, I'm going to go ahead and try to start her again. Get it on position, that's important. I'm gonna check and see if the battery's charging. The battery has 14.6 volts. Running good. Amps, it's moved, not very much, so it's about 5 amps. I noticed if I really amp it up, it gets up to about 10. Oil pressure is good. This thing's in good shape. I think I let it run long enough. I'm running out of daylight, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut her off. I wonder if she'll start again on her own, because the battery's been dead. Oh, look at that. What a beaut. What a beaut. So the gauge moves slowly is what I'm getting, because now it's at 0 and it was on 5. So it works, it's just slow. Well, my buddy's alright with it. I gotta still mount the resistors. I just mounted them there for now, but I gotta mount them on where they actually go inside there, and I need to get this gauge to fit flush, but that's all on another day. Other than that, it's been running really good, so I'm tickled to death with it. Fires right up, runs really good. Well, we're back at my buddy's place. He gave me a call after the tractor was running, and I guess the starter stayed engaged and it burned up the negative cable. Let's see what's going on. You see right there, that cable burned off. So I got to replace that. And then he said the starter stayed engaged. He's right, staying engaged. So figure that out. And we weren't kidding. This melted so bad it liquefied the lead. What I think happened was the starter stayed engaged and the negative cable got way too hot. So I guess the solenoid's sticking some. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace this cable and see what I can do about that. Alright, I put a new battery clamp on. It's on there pretty good. The positive's still good, so I don't have to replace that. Good thing, because I didn't bring the tools to do that. I'm gonna pop this battery back in here, see if I can get her started. Well, I got the battery in, and I got the jumper cables hooked up to it, and it's not turning over. It's the solenoid. This solenoid here, I don't know if it's getting a bad ground or what, but that solenoid right there, staying engaged. What I did to stop is I took a wrench and I tapped it. That solenoid right there, staying engaged. What I did to stop is I took a wrench and I tapped it. Well, I got the van running. I'm about to do a test. No, I'm gonna let it charge up a little bit. I'm gonna let it charge that battery a little bit. Then I'm gonna go ahead and try to start it. Still charging her up. I just put some gas in her. She was out of gas. Boy, was she thirsty. That's charging up. Let's see if she'll fire up. No choke. Yeah, that solenoid's sticking sometimes. Sometimes they stick. Maybe we'll add a little choke since we ran her out. Should be good. No runny. Let's let her sit and charge for a minute. I might have to check the plug, see if they're soaking wet. I see what the problem is. My buddy shut off the fuel. That's why it shut off. I didn't know he did that. He's smarter than me though. I wouldn't have done it. So I'm gonna turn it on and then we'll try her out. Alright, fuel is on. Key is on. Starter. What a beast. She purrs like a kitten. Well, now that the tractor's running again, what I'm gonna try to do is I took the toolbox out that was right here. It's just one screw. I'm gonna try to get these out of there so I can bolt that resistor up. Wish me luck. So I grinded this hole out a little bigger so it'll fit this gauge. Like it's supposed to go in there. Like so. Now it fits all the way in there flush. But I gotta pop it back out because I gotta finish that resistor. There's the resistor. I finally got all those screws loose due to JB Blaster. There's two flat heads, one on this side and one on that side. What I'm trying to do is get this out, and then I'm gonna put the other one in there. There we go, got it out. Now it's time to put the new one in. It's got new screws. Well, I got the new resistor in there, but I had to reuse the old screws. The other ones wouldn't fit it, and I need to drill and tap it bigger, and I really don't have that with me, so I'm gonna put the gauge in next. And put it in right there. There we go. Now I got the gauge installed. I got the resistor installed. I have one more resistor to install. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to install it. Maybe up on this thing somewhere. Yeah, I think about right up in there. There we go, I got it mounted there. Looks a little crooked, but it is. It'll be alright. Now I gotta put the battery in the toolbox. Well, toolbox then the battery. Alright, I got the battery and the toolbox back installed. I'm gonna try to start it without the jumper cables, but I think we might need them. Key on. Oh! Fired right up. Unbelievable. Well guys, that's it for the tractor. The spark plugs really threw me for a loop. I hope my buddy enjoys it. It's charging now, which it wasn't before. It's running now, which it wasn't before. When he called me and told me about that battery cable, man, that stressed me out because I thought something bad happened, but just the solenoid got stuck. Sometimes that happens. You just tap them with the wrench like I showed you, and they come unstuck. But no choke. Some engines like choke, some engines don't. This engine is one that does not like choke, so when you go to start it, you just crank her over. Don't add no choke to it, just fire right up. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you on the next one.